Hari Om Yogis. Today we have an interesting topic. We are going to speak on decodifying the story of the disciple that wanted to know God. So it's a familiar story. So let's get right into it. But before we start, as usual, let's start with the left hand on top of right, back straight, eyes closed, mouth closed, and let's observe a moment of silence and stillness until we let you know. Hari Om Yogis. Okay, so let's get started with today's topic, decodifying the story of the disciple that wanted to know God. So this is a very famous spiritual story. There are many versions of it. I and there are elaborate versions, shorter, longer, different settings, but the essence is the same. So I don't want to spend too much time on a longer version of the story. I'm just going to go to the basic part of the story, um, and then we're going to see if we decode and extract from it as much uh, knowledge, wisdom, techniques, tips here and there that we can apply, hopefully. And maybe this way of looking at stories will help us in other stories that we look at in the future, or that you look at on the future on your own. In my experience, these stories, the kind of spiritual stories, parables, anecdotes that are passed down, they are sort of coded messages. That's why I put in the title decoding this particular story. Because it's like when you hear them, if someone has had certain experiences or is at whatever certain level of understanding, they hear the story and immediately it's like a key, it's an instruction, it's a reminder, it's a suggestion. It's a missing piece to a puzzle of something that you couldn't figure out. And then when you hear the story, click, and solve that puzzle onto the next puzzle. So this story is one of those spiritual stories that have been passed down for God knows how long. So the essence of the story goes like this: a disciple and a guru, or a disciple and a master, they're walking alongside some body of water. Could be a lake, could be a river, could be the ocean. And then the disciple along this walk asks the master, the guru, the teacher, he asks, what do I need to do to see God, to know God, to realize God? And so the way that the guru decides to explain or to help this particular disciple is he takes him into the water and he asks the disciple to go under, with the guru now holding his head under the water. Some time passes. The disciple now starts to run out of air. But he holds on because he is, after all, a disciple, and knows that it's his guru, his teacher. Uh, but more time passes. Now desperation starts to kicks in as he's running completely out of air, and instinctively he starts to go up. He needs air. He needs to breathe. But the guru forcibly keeps his head down. Now, at this point, the disciple now is no longer concerned about the guru or whoever. He needs to get off and go up to breathe. So he starts fighting, kicking, struggling, scratching, whatever he can do. Finally, he's able to come out of breath, possibly a little surprised or upset or shocked at what just happened. But once he catches his breath, the guru asked him, when you were under, what did you want the most? And obviously, the disciple answers, all I could think about, all I wanted, all I desired was air. And then the guru says, just like that, when you desire the Supreme Being, God, to know Him, to see Him, to meet Him, to realize Him, to be in His presence, when you realize Him with that same level of intensity, willing to seek Him, to fight for Him, to go to the extreme with that same level of intensity as you just did now, with the same intensity that you desire air and you search for air and you fought for air, with that same intensity, if you search for Him, you, with no doubt, you will find Him. You will realize Him. You will be one with Him. You will be in His presence. And that's the crux of the story. So now, let's see if we are able to extract as much as we are able to share in this particular format, some of those nuggets, some of those missing pieces of the puzzle, some of those keys, instructions that are in between the words as part of the story here and there, that we can hopefully apply to us, to our spiritual life, in order to grow. First of all, it's a story about a guru and a disciple. Disciple meaning, if we bring it to us, to the technique of mantra yoga meditation, it is someone that is already meditating. So this is not a visitor. This is not a newbie. This is not a rookie. It's not just a person that's initiated, but it's a disciple. So if we bring it again to us, probably someone already meditating for some time, vegetarian or vegan for some time as well, most likely working in the ashram or in the yoga center, doing some karma yoga, some service, teaching some classes, doing this or that, cooking or taking care of whatever duties they are in the ashram or the center. And he must have been an intimate disciple. This is where we now start reading in between the lines. First of all, he's walking with the guru. That alone tells you there's already some closeness. And there seems to be nobody else. In all of the different versions of the story, I haven't heard a version where there was a group of people and then out of all of these disciples, one disciple asked. No. He's walking with the guru, only them two. For how long, who knows? But we can assume sometime they were walking in silence. Maybe this question was in the disciples' mind for some time. But let's come to that question. Who do you ask questions to? Obviously, someone that you trust, that you believe, that you assume that knows more than you, that is more capable than you in that particular field of knowledge, which depending on the question. And so we see it's a disciple, it's a close disciple, they're walking. This question has been brooding in the mind of the disciple, who knows for how long. But now he's alone with the master. And they're walking. Maybe walking in silence for some time, and oh, now is my chance. He takes advantage of the opportunity. But now let's look at it from the guru's point of view. Why is the guru taking this particular disciple on a walk by himself? Who does the guru does this type of activities with? Again, usually someone close, someone trusted, someone that he feels some sort of affinity with, someone that he is paying close attention to. A disciple. Perhaps the guru already knows that there's a question brooding. He may, again, we are reading in between the lines here, be creating opportunities for the disciple to take advantage of. What better opportunity? Us two walking, no one else around. They must be walking along nature because they are near a body of water. The guru is setting up opportunities for this particular disciple. Maybe he has set up many. Maybe the disciple had missed many opportunities. Maybe he was distracted. Maybe he was too chatty. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe the desire, the humility wasn't there strong enough yet. But on this particular day, again, another opportunity comes. But this time, the disciple recognizes no one's around. It's quiet. It's just the guru and I. Now's the time to ask. And he takes advantage of the opportunity. Now, we know what happens next in the story. But why does the guru not simply just explain? Because the same way that I had just narrated the story to you, maybe the guru can simply say, oh yeah, just be more intense in your seeking. Wouldn't that be enough? Why didn't the guru just tell him a parable, a story like the one that we are saying now? And tell him a story about someone that needed air so badly or whatever, or a similar story of what he was just about to do. But he didn't do that. He did something physically. The disciple needed to experience something physically, mentally, emotionally, and now the guru provides that experience. He could have also said, just go, you go in the water, go yourself, go under, hold the breath as long as you can, right? And then when you cannot hold it any longer, you come out. That may have served the purpose, right? The same question could have been asked. So I'm under the water, I hold the breath as long as I can, and then okay, I can't hold it anymore, I come out. Okay, what were you thinking? Oh, I was thinking about that I was running out of breath. Oh yeah, I wanted air. But that wasn't the method used. The guru himself placed his hand and himself pushed him down under the water. This is the method. Explaining the story, right? Why this? And why not any of the other things? These are the things that when we see the stories, how come in this story this happened but not this happened? How come this was said? How come this was never said? These are things that we need to try to think about when we hear these stories. Why was a certain thing done this way and not in a different way? Again, there are keys and things in this story, teachings in this story, which is the reason why they are passed down. So in this case, the master himself puts him under. Because if it was up to the disciple, okay, as soon as there's a little bit of discomfort, as soon as there's, okay, I feel like I need some air, of course, you come out. But he kept them with the master's help, forceful help, against his will. His will was to come out sooner. But the master said, no, you stay down there alone. I want you to experience this. It's not just a slight intensity where, okay, I feel like I'm running out of breath. Ooh. It's not that level of intensity. It is with a level where you now have to be so intense in your purpose of getting air that it doesn't matter who is holding you down, whether it is the guru himself or God himself, whoever it is. You want this so badly, with so much intensity, which is the key word, that you are willing to fight, to scratch, to bite, to hit, anything that's preventing you from reaching. That is the level of intensity that you need to have in order to reach the goal that you want. In this case, to be in the presence of the Lord, to be one with Him, to realize Him, to grow spiritually, to achieve wisdom. That is the level of intensity that is needed. Not just, okay, I feel like I'm running a little bit of air, let me come out. No, not like that. Because when the guru asks the question, what do you desire most? Air. He said, just like that, with that same level of intensity that you just desired air, just like that, you must have that same level of intensity, that same willingness to fight, to struggle, to push, in order to achieve, in order to realize, in order to understand, to be one with the Supreme Being, God, the Lord, whichever way you want to call it. So we see already that words are not enough. A little, a verbal explanation from a guru, from a person of wisdom, from a teacher, if it's not linked with, accompanied by, supported by some experience, then you may not get it. Even if the words are the same, the experience in your body, in your mind, in your emotions, you need to have certain experiences so that when the instruction is given, the story is told, the parable is narrated. Now when you have that experience and you listen and you watch or you feel, now supported by that experience, that can help you. But the words on their own, if the disciple is not ready, doesn't have those experiences, it won't be of much help. So as you can see, we're already extracting some of the juice, of the nectar of this story. But when this story is told, and the master ends by saying, with the same level of intensity you need to have, that you just desire air, you need to have to achieve your goal. Naturally, a question comes up in the listener. Again, these stories, many of them, if you are sincere and if you have had some experiences as well, when you listen to the story, some of these stories, if you are listening sincerely, a question will come up. That's one of the purposes of these stories, to trigger some of these questions. Now you start asking, naturally, your attention starts going, your patterns of thinking, of thoughts start going in a certain direction. That is the purpose of the story. So you just listen to the story. Disciple wanted to know, under the water, what did you desire most? I wanted more air, with that same level of intensity. Now, if I'm just a casual listener, oh, yeah, nice story. Yeah, be intense, right? And that's it. I move on with my life. And now I know a super cool spiritual story to tell other people so that I can look cool and wise and among people that like that kind of thing, right? But if I am a genuine seeker, then I listen to the story and I hear what the master's saying to the disciple. You need to have a level of intensity this intense, this strong, in order to reach. So now the question automatically comes to me. I look within myself as the listener of the story. Am I that intense? Is my level of seeking that intense? Do I really want this that badly, that strongly, that intensely? These are the questions that the story is designed to bring out of those that are truly honest in their seeking. So when you ask this question, is my intent, am I really intense? Do I really want this that badly? For most people, the answer would be Not really. I gotta be honest, not really. Maybe some days I may be a little intense and I may feel like I really want this, and then somehow I mellow down. Right? Most people are like this. But that's only the first level. So then the first level is this question comes up. So we can at this point divide it into different levels of people listening and different levels of spiritual maturity, which is clearly be seen by the guru or by someone with a certain level of spiritual growth. When these stories are told, when certain events are narrated in a certain way, you have the casual listener. They listen and, oh, okay, nice. I enjoy that story, good storytelling, and they're gone. Immature level of listener. Uh, Maybe the person just there for entertainment or for social with other people. They enjoy the vibe, not really serious about their growth. Then you have someone that maybe has been meditating for a while, and then this question comes up, which is the question that I just asked: am I that intense? And if they're sincere, no, I'm really not that intense. Oh man, I need to be more intense. And then that's it. It just stays at that. But it's the next level. It's better than just listening to the story and enjoy it and think, oh yeah, it's a nice message. Now at least you questioning yourself. You're answering that question honestly to yourself. In this case, no, I'm not that intense. Some days I feel like I'm more intense. Other days I have other projects, other things, and but I don't really feel like I want it as badly as I want air, as explained in this story. And it stays at that. And then again, they move on. Go back to their routine or whatever, or keep doing their spiritual practices. And hopefully, they will then go one step further. This can be divided in way more, but for time purposes and all this, I'm just going to divide it in three: beginner, intermediate, and expert, if you want to say that. Just for the purpose of this lecture. So they're a little bit higher level. Let's, not the final, but let's call it final level just for this purpose. Then they listen to the story. They question the story. The question arises in them. They answer it honestly. No, I'm not really that intense. Now, next level person, next level disciple, next level seeker, another question comes up. Because they're serious. They are starting to feel that intensity, which is what leads them from that first question to another. These also different levels of intensity. Mild, almost no intensity. Oh yeah, just entertain with the world, and a little spirituality here and there. Very mild. Listen to the story. Oh yeah, great spiritual environment and nice hariom. A little more level of intensity. Man, am I that intense? They already ask a question. They answer, I don't feel like I'm that intense all the time. Man, maybe I should be more intense. And then that's it. Next level. Now, a person that's a little more intense, wants it a little more, feels it a little more, that lack of air. Man, I am not that intense. They already asked the first question. Am I that intense? They already answered it. No, I don't feel like I'm that intense. But they're remembering the story. They still, their intensity doesn't allow them to just, the story to come and go. They allows them to stick with it for some time in their consciousness. But the master said that if I want to reach the supreme being in the story, he's putting himself in the place of the disciple in the story. The master said that if I want to realize, if I want to be one with, I need to be intense. But I'm not that intense. So then the next question comes: what can I do to be more intense? Now, did you see how he's going deeper, searching further, piercing more into the true purpose of the story? And let's remember the beginning of the story. It's a disciple and a guru. So it's someone already meditating, already following a strict diet, already doing some service. And yet, it is not enough. It is not enough. He, the disciple, has now started to feel it. And this burning question has come up. The guru has seen this. He has been waiting for this. All of his discipline, his years in training, his sadhana, his service has brought him to this point. At least to this point, to know that although his practices are good, they have not been enough to realize what he wants to realize. At least not yet. And for someone who wants air, it is not enough for them to tell, for the answer, the usual answer, oh, these things take time, and maybe you may not get it in this lifetime, maybe the next, if you keep doing karma yoga and purifying, and you gotta take good care of your diet and watch your thought. That answer will not do for someone that's underwater running out of air. You cannot tell a person, and again, we see how we keep extracting from the same story, underwater, about running out of air. Well, you may, sometimes air, you may not get it in this lifetime. Maybe you may have to wait a couple of lifetimes. No. You need to be patient. You'll be patiently dead under the water, drowned. But you see how now this more intense seeker has not just listened to the story and walked like the first, has not just listened to the story, questioned it, and answered it like the second level of intensity, but has listened to the story, questioned it. The question came up, am I intense? Answered it, no, I don't feel like I am. Question it again. What can I do so to be more intense? Because I am already meditating. I am already doing service. I am already following a particular diet. This is a story for us yogis. And for those yogis that want it badly enough, that have started to feel this intense desire to be one with the source, with the supreme. So then now we start looking into what can we do to be more intense. Again, we are meditating already. This is a disciple, this is not a visitor. So the answer here would not be, okay, now you need to get initiated into mantra yoga meditation. No, this is someone already initiated and already in the practice for some time. He's a disciple. And he's walking by himself with a master. A master doesn't walk on his own usually with some, with just anybody. So now this second question, what can I do to be more intense? Let's think about this together. Already meditating. Now the first thing is, if you are not meditating, then this is the first step. If you are meditating but still kind of like missing days here and there, and then this is the next step. Try to get established more into that discipline. If you already have that down and have had it down for some time, but now you're starting to feel that intense desire to be one with, to realize, then this story has the key. What can I do? Be more intense. What can I do to be more intense? To want it more. Let's think about this together. In us, what is intense? Usually, for a lot of people, there's different things, but let's take one. Our emotions, our feelings can be and are, for most people, very intense. This is where the role of bhakti or devotion come in. You must feel it. You must be in love with it. You must it must be a sort of a love affair where you cannot be away from your source any longer. So if you notice, man, I have been practicing doing this, but I feel like I'm not really that much of a devotion kind of person. Perhaps it's a little time to work more in addition to what you're already doing. Try that devotion factor, that emotion factor, to intensify those feelings. That will bring the intensity up. That's one thing you can do. If you are, let's say, you feel very intensely or very intense when you are thinking deeply about different subjects, when you are analyzing, when you are studying, when you feel like you are learning new things, new concepts, trying out new ideas, then perhaps for you, if you feel that, man, I'm intense here, or I feel like I can really reach high levels of intensity when I am thinking deeply about certain things, then feed that. Become intense through that. Studying the scriptures or the books of the Guru, thinking about them, reasoning, maybe writing your own notes. Become really submerged. Feed that flame of intensity and let it grow, let it grow, let it grow, let it be more and more and more until you want it that badly. Until it's like, just like the Guru said, just like as badly as you needed air. That's another way. There's way many, too many ways, but let's just do one more. Let's say you are a person very physical. You need to move, you need to be active. There's different things that you can do to bring up your intensity on a physical level. Exercise more, go on long walks more, do more hatha yoga. That's the best. If you can do hatha yoga and you like it and you're able to do it consistently and regularly and get really deep into it, that definitely brings you intensity and health to your body. And you feel, man, and the pranayamas for sure will bring up your intensity. martial arts. If you are inclined physically, mentally, emotionally, when you do certain practice in martial arts, same thing. The level of intensity is comes up. And like the story said, you want this? This you ask the question. You want it. This is the answer. You need to want it as intensely as you wanted air. Which means, now reading in between the lines, this disciple, although he was close with the master, although he's spending time with him, of course, he's on his own with him, definitely practicing some time because he's a disciple. Still, the master saw he is lacking in intensity. He does not want it bad enough. He's not struggling as much as he could struggle. He's not pushing as hard as he could push. Because when he was underwater, he was pushing, he was scratching, he was biting, he was whatever. But in spirituality, he's like, which is a mistake made by a lot of spiritual seekers. Because it's almost like they are afraid of intensity, and intensity can be scary. And it does scare a lot of people. Feel a little scared or shocked when they encounter someone with a certain level of intensity. But the answer is not to run away from intensity. Is to learn how to channel it, how to properly manage it. Because in the story, and in all the versions that I have heard, no second option was given. This is what you're missing. You need to want it badly. You need to push hard. As hard as you were pushing my hand and my arm when you wanted air. As hard as you fought and struggled when you wanted air. That with that same level, you need to take up this task of being in the presence of the Supreme, realizing it. But now we come with some objections that I have heard from fellow yogis on this topic. And the objections come out of misunderstandings. The objections sound something like this. Oh, but we should not force things. Things should be natural. And we should be patient because in time things will come if we just continue with our practice. And we should not force because there's the example of the rose. If the rose is not fully open yet and you try to open it before it's ready, then you may damage it. So it's just let it happen on its own and just keep doing the practice. And we do not want to cause stress or anxiety to ourselves because the master said that we should always try to remain in peace. All true words, but at the wrong time and not in relation to this story. The guru in the story, and again, different stories have different purposes, just like different tools. For this particular story, is for someone that needs intensity. And the story is designed and geared in that mode. So intensity, bringing it up and how to bring it up is the thing, not let it happen. That's almost the opposite of intense. That is relax, just let it happen. But the master is not saying relax, let it happen in the story. So do you know more than the master in the story, or more than the master that told this story and passed it on with a purpose in mind? And another objection comes up, which is, oh, but we are in the path of discernment. And so, we just do our meditation 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, and do our thing, and eventually things will happen. Again, correct words, wrong context. Not in the context of this story. How badly must you want it? About the if he's on the water by the master's hand, he says you must want it as badly as you want. Now you are on the water, meaning you are separated from that which you want. However, whichever way you can get there is the way, is what you need. Whatever gets you closer to the air that you're looking for, that's what you're willing to do because that's what you want. And if we are on the path of discernment and we come to a point in our growth where we are meditating, we have a diet, maybe we're doing a little bit of this and that, of attending to some retreats here and there. But we come to this point where we feel, man, we need to be more intense. And we understand clearly that we have perhaps been running away from, neglecting our emotions, not allowing them, not giving them room, because we are the path of knowledge. And we are just meditation and discernment and deciding. And no, we not do bhakti, so don't talk about bhakti and devotion. But that is poor discernment. Because in this point, in your spiritual growth, that is what is lacking. That devotional aspect is what is lacking at the moment in order to bring the intensity up. Maybe for you is that. Maybe for somebody else could be hatha yoga or martial arts. Maybe for somebody else could be karma yoga. Whatever brings up the intensity of that person. Maybe for somebody else is studying the books of the guru, of the teachers, or spiritual books, or the scriptures, or whatever level he's at of understanding. And thinking about those things brings up the intensity in him or her. That's what is needed at that moment. Does not mean that you stop the practice, that you stop meditating, that you are no longer in the path of discernment. No, that means that because we are on the path of discernment and we want to keep growing, when we realize that, oh man, I need a little more hatha yoga in order to grow, then you do hatha yoga even though we are discernment, jnana, not hatha. This is the discernment. Same thing with bhakti. I'm getting there. I'm feeling stuck somewhere in my growth. I want to get there. The story is giving me the key. Be more intense. What I need for me is devotion, bhakti, to cultivate those emotions and express them and fuel them. But I won't do it because no, that's not that's not jnana yoga. That's poor discernment. That is you putting limits on yourself. And if we take these words out of context, all of these words can mislead people. So, for example, oh, just let things happen. Let it be natural. Don't force anything. So then let's not get initiated. Let's not talk to people. Don't need to get initiated. Don't worry. Just keep living your life. Things will happen eventually, naturally. Right? Or let's not go to retreats because, why force things? Let's just, the flower will grow on its own whenever it's time. No need to go to retreats. No need to do hatha yoga. Let's not create anxiety and things like that. No, these are all things that when you want to grow, you make a conscious effort. And depending on what you need or what you feel or what you're instructed by the guru or what your own discernment or somebody else discernment that you trust, that you decide, okay, I'm going to go by this person's discernment because I feel that him, her, guru, or whoever you feel, instructor or someone that you may trust, they have my good in mind, and I see that they have this level of understanding. Maybe I don't fully understand it yet, but I trust them, and I'm gonna follow that instruction. That is good discernment. Be it your own, be it somebody else that you trust, and then you do what you need to do in order to grow. Be it hatha yoga, be it bhakti yoga, be it whatever. And remember, we are separating between jnana yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, all of these. We separate them to study them, but they are really not separate. They are one. The base, the core, may be jnana yoga or meditation or dhyana yoga, but overall, they all merge into one. And to kind of reject one because no, that's not our practice, it is limiting your growth. And when you pass that on to others, then now you are guilty of limiting others' growth. Someone that may be considering or feeling or being guided by their own intuition to do something to in addition to their practice. That is what they may be needing. And you, because you feel that you know better, oh no, we don't force things. Just that's what they need. And now you are limiting not just your growth with a wrong perception of things, but now when you pass that knowledge, what you feel like is knowledge, to somebody else, now you are limiting them. Now they may, oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong. This person may know better. So let's remember these things. Maybe another time we may tell other stories where these things apply, where the do not force things, let them happen on their own. They are stories for people that need that, for disciples that need that at certain moments. These stories are told for that purpose. But for the purpose of this story, that's not the time. You're underwater. Let the flower grow when it grows. Let's not create anxiety. The master is purposely placing you in a situation that knows is going to create anxiety and knows that you must fight. You must force the situation to use the word that you maybe, but it's an instruction hidden in a story. And let's not confuse forcing the flower, forcing something to grow, which is something that is obviously not good, forcing changes that we're not ready for, versus doing a conscious effort. If we see that a little change in diet can help, I'm going to make a conscious effort to make that happen. That's not forcing. Same as meditation. I want to grow. I'm coming to the yoga center, but I feel like I want to get initiated. That's not forcing it. That's, oh, I feel this can help me. I'm going to make a conscious effort and try to do the discipline. That's not forcing it. Oh, I want to grow a little more. Let me try to make a conscious effort to go to the retreats, to serve a little more in the center, to do a little more karma yoga, to do more hatha yoga, to simple things that we do as seekers, as disciples, as initiates, in order to help ourselves and others grow. Conscious effort. Very different for forcing things. So let's not make that mistake. Same thing in the context of this story. You need to be more intense, the guru is saying. Now I know These are different things that we discuss that can make us help us be more intense. So you make a conscious effort, either through martial arts or hatha yoga or more exercise or studying the scriptures or bhakti or any other many ways which we don't have time to discuss, that will help us and aid us in bringing up that the intensity of that flame of seeking. This is also one of the purposes of pilgrimages and going to certain places and being in the presence of certain people, certain places, certain people, um, being in the company of peers that are seeking the same goal, because all of these things bring up the intensity. Sometimes you stand on a place or you sit on a place or you meditate on a place, could be a temple, could be a yoga center, could be, and you feel the intensity of the seeking rising. That place is conducive for that. It helps you. But now, if you're going to get into wrong ideas of, oh, let's not be attached to any, yes, that has its place. Yes, that has its time. Yes, people can get attached to certain places or certain things. But to use something that is useful, to do something that is good, is one thing that is going to help me to grow. And another thing is to be attached or fully dependent on that. That's the key. So let's not confuse one thing with another. Like I said, maybe another time we will come when we will discuss other stories where this non forcing, let's not create anxiety, let the flower bloom kind of thing, that will apply perfectly. But this is not the story for that. Reminds me of the word of Swami Guru Devanand. Spiritual life is for those who are brave, courageous. Why do I need courage if I am just going to let a flower bloom? Why will I need courage and bravery if I am just going to let things happen? You do not need courage for that. So you see, and we could keep going in this direction. But I just wanted to address some of these misunderstandings on this whole thing of if you if the story is saying intensity and you know that you're not intense enough and now you're questioning how can I be more intense, and you are seeking ways to be more intense and you make use of these other ways, that does not mean that you are not yana yoga, that you are changing the practice, or that you are forcing things. No, that just means that that is what you need at the moment in order to follow the instruction in the story to be more intense. This or that here or there may help me be more intense, and the guru says you need to be more intense to achieve it. It's the only way that's going to happen. And if that's the only way, let's find ways to be more intense. Let's leave it at that. Okay, Hari Om yogis. Let's finish with a moment of silence and stillness. Very good. Glad to have you guys here on the channel again. See you guys in the centers around or some retreat. Hari Om.